Yeah. If I die tomorrow, I hope you hear these words. I ain't here to flip no birds or sip no serve. Hope the future generations can get this urge. Stay woke, youngin', and avenge these nerds.
I gotta bop every time that beat plays.
Every time.
It's hard not to.
It's hard
Also,
not to.
with the countdown, let me ask. We do a countdown. We get like 10 seconds into the countdown. You go, fuck the countdown. We're just going to go into the theme song.
There's a method to this madness. I'm like, I want to get the whole theme song because when you're hitting live, you're waiting for it to say, okay, the broadcast has started. So that's when I hit the theme song. I'm like, yeah, there we go. You don't want to miss it. It's okay, a good nugget, man.
No, that countdown's a buzzkill, man. That's that sound. Like, I'd rather have it like with no sound and then it just counts down, or like maybe we make our own countdown and then we've got, got Blue Scythe coming in.
There we go.
I'm looking at that. We got to do that. But a big shout out to Lou Scythe. Thank you again, brother, for putting together that song, letting us use it for the intro. If you guys haven't checked out Lou Scythe's album, please check it out. It came out in 2020, The Agenda. It is a really dope album put together by an amazing artist. We even did a creator series featuring him. And what's awesome, too, is that we do have a returning creator who we did a creative series with, who we're going to bring up. But first things first, the announcements. So, Medusa's Cascade. Make sure you guys are tuning in every Saturday at the podcast, Medusa's Cascade, Collateral Damage, D&D podcast for other great geek culture stuff, podcast streams, shows, and networks. Check out the description, The Nerds Network, where, again, we are sharing everyone who we know, who we've met, podcast, stream, where you like video game streams, where you want to check out a whole network of podcasts. They are there for you guys. So we're always rotating every Tuesday. And quick announcements again, because there's a lot to announce today. So next week, we have a double feature for you guys.
Yes,
next Tuesday, Nerds will be going on at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why? Because we will be covering Mortal Kombat that first hour with one of our guests that is in the backstage. And in the second hour, we will be with our boys from Comics Cast. And we're going to get to meet Lauren as well. We're going to finish up the final hour with the Falcon and Winter Soldier season finale. And finally, Drink and Draw, May 22nd. The Nerds will be hosting an event. You guys can come join us. We're going to be doing a drink and draw, and if you're interested too, we may be having a one-shot D&D game. Very limited spots. We'll let you guys know. So
shots and spots.
I like it. Shots and spots. I will be drinking, but not drawing.
There you go. So I will be drinking and drawing. Yes. So forgive my art, but we'll have some amazing artists with us. So when that lineup comes through, we'll be announcing to you guys. Again, more to come on that. And finally, new episode this Friday, creative series interview featuring Rob Anderson. For those who don't know Rob Anderson, he is part of the Written Sins Network. Indie Advocates. He is also part of Comic Book School. He had story featured in the last Comic Book School anthology. And again, overall awesome guy. They put together the Indie Comic Awards for last year. Shout out to the Traveling Chartist who took the #1 spot for Podcast of the Year. We were close second. It was a great race, and we thank them for doing this. Again, Rob Anderson, amazing writer, amazing person. You'll get to learn more about him this Friday on Nerds, so make sure you are subscribing. So that's all the announcement, guys. Did I do a good job today?
You did good.
Yes, you did. I'm enjoying. Aside from regular announcements, we're also hyping up our next episodes. I like this.
This feels good. It feels nice.
Yes. We're growing.
Tone.
Yes.
Hit him with the spoiler warning.
Yes. The spoiler warning, because they now need to do the beginning episodes again because of George. Thank you very much. Today we are talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 5, Truth. Anything and everything about this episode, episodes prior, and anything related to the MCU is on the table. Tony Stark has died. You have been spoiler warned.
Wait, he died?
Apparently.
So, without further ado, because we have an awesome lineup of guests that are here with us, guys. We're actually excited for this round of guests that are coming in. The first guest that we're going to bring up, because we believe in the ladies first. She was on the Nerds Around before for 2 episodes. We did an awesome creative series. She just kicked some, I'm going to say, ass this weekend at a pop-up, selling her art. Give it up for the one, the only, Aries Millz. Aries.
Hey.
How are you guys?
Oh, good.
It's been so
Good,
long.
good. I
It's been
know.
such a difference between having you at Seabass's apartment to where we are now.
Very true. We was
Night
able
and
just to
day.
get up and pour our drinks for each
Exactly.
other. And
Exactly.
now, you know.
Well, I'm not the bartender anymore, so I'm sorry, guys. sorry, not sorry.
Now we
not-
got a bartend for ourselves.
I feel like that's
Yep.
rude. I feel like that's
Yep.
selfish.
Our next guest, again, I'm happy to bring this guest out. Actually, this guest did a great had Law on the show last Friday on his show
I did.
on
Go check out the
Twitch.
Sin Shop.
The links are in the description. So after show, make sure you check out his links in the description so that this way you can check out his show episodes and everything. I want to give it up for the one, the only Mighty Pong. Let us up.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello everybody.
What's
The Mighty
up? Welcome
Pong.
to the show.
What's up, Pong?
Yeah, absolutely.
That-
Thanks for having me.
Yo, that was like the
Yeah.
fastest turnaround. He was like, "Can I be on?" I was like, "Yeah, I got you. Like, let's do this
Yeah,
right now."
Let's do it, yeah.
we're listening to you guys hash it out about Winter Soldier and Falcon. You guys, all right, well, we got to get this. We got to get Pong on.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. well, so we have a thing like the show that used to be on in our time slot kind of got to the point where they just started talking about Marvel movies every single episode. And it was supposed to be about maker spaces and everything. And so I've had a blanket rule the entire time we've done the show: no Marvel movie discussion. Excellent. Last Friday. But other than that,
This is a Marvel TV show. So
that's what I'm saying.
That's why I
Oh,
slid
that's
it
true
in
too.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And finally,
Yeah.
our next guest
Oh.
has emojis made after him. This man is larger than life in terms of what he is throwing out there with his art. He was also the artist behind an awesome series featuring Lawrence and our DM Tommy. They were doing crazy stuff. What was the name of that series, Law? What was the name of that series?
Serious.
You
Can't be serious.
Oh, and he is coming back next week because he wants to talk Mortal Kombat. He wants to be.
Yo, if y'all haven't checked out his Twitch streams, if y'all haven't checked out his TikTok, y'all need to go do that. Y'all need to check out his art. That's been killing it. Yo, the one and the only Kimbo.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys had me feeling like I was like a boxing superstar. The way y'all were hyping me up, I'm like doing my shadow boxing and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, coming in at something pounds. Art of Kimbo.
Let's get ready to not do copyright infringement.
Michael Buffer's coming on sometime soon. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show to talk Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we're gonna get into this episode because this episode is the hashtag truth. That's what we're gonna say.
Mhm.
It is the hashtag truth.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode opened up with the scene that we've all been asking for is Bucky and Falcon giving the beatdown to our boy John Walker. Ladies first,
That
Aries,
work.
how did you feel about them giving him the work?
He needed it because I don't like him anyway.
Mm.
Oh,
I don't. As soon as I started watching it, the first episode, when he was like, I mean, they could have picked somebody else to do that. He's just, ugh. But he needed it, and I just didn't believe. I mean, he played his role very well. Don't get me
Oh, yeah.
wrong,
credit to the
but
actor.
I did not expect that episode to go like that whatsoever. But then, as he was
Wait.
chasing dude down, I said, "He gonna kill him." I knew it.
Pong, go ahead.
Well, so I guess like a couple things. First of all, like I thought that you were talking about when you said I didn't expect it to go like that after the end of episode 4. That was pretty much how I expected it to go because like he had a beating coming.
But you know what it is? I didn't expect them to go in as hard as much as they did.
Oh,
Like I figured it's but not straight as soon as they get into the episode. I'm expecting
That's
that just
true.
a few minutes in. No,
That's
I was
true.
just sitting there flabbergasted, my mouth open. The baby
Oh,
sitting
we're
on my
starting
lap.
like that.
Yeah, we all watching it that night. I was like, I gotta watch this
They said no fucks were given. But I mean,
Yeah.
how did you
at
feel?
all.
How did you feel with this opening, Pong? Like, how did you love it? How did you?
Oh yeah,
love it?
no. So
I loved
I
it.
mean, like, yeah, I can't stand that dude so much. Like I don't even like the dude from Up because he looks kind of like that guy. Like that's how much I don't
Now
like
that
this
you
guy.
mention it,
Huh?
That's all you guys
yeah,
get
he
to
does
see
look
now.
like him.
The guy from Up put the captain thing on him, and there it is. No, and I realized that he's playing a role, like you were saying before. I realized that, but man, I hate that dude. I hate.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not care for him. But that's the point. Like, I will probably get into this a little bit later, but it seems to me that they wanted him the original Captain Rogers, Steve Rogers represented what America said on the tin. I don't know if you want to save this for later.
You could go now. Go right
Just
ahead.
do it. Okay.
Yeah,
He
go ahead.
represented what America said on the tin in the 40s, whereas this guy represents what it actually is now.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why, like, when Law told me the other night that some people actually see that guy as the hero, and I'm just like, no, like,
I'm not gonna take it that far.
No, I
definitely wouldn't. No, hell no.
People are
Kimbo.
wild.
Kimbo, give us your thoughts.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say shout out to Wyatt Russell because this man's doing his job right.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a great actor. I liked him in Black Mirror because he was in that one episode, the game test or something like that, play test. I think it was called. It was a great episode.
No way. Oh,
Yeah, that was him. Same dude.
Now I have to rewatch.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
What a pickup.
But when I tell you I couldn't wait for him to get his ass whooped.
That's three. That's three.
Oh man, I couldn't wait for him to get his ass whooped. What I wasn't ready for, like I'm with Aries on this, like I didn't think they would go that far. I didn't think John Walker would literally try to kill Falcon the same way he killed other dude. Like he just went right to it again, like not even 5 minutes later, like bro, come on, you have a problem.
Why wouldn't he? He got away with it once.
One, and second, he also sat there, from what I understand, he took serum. So I think that he wasn't even on like that thinking straight kind of path, because that serum makes you a little bit 0 to 100 real quick. So he didn't even get to like the 50 or the 60%. He just went straight in. There was no build up to it whatsoever.
Pete Rizal says Lawrence isn't wrong. I can definitely see where people see him as a hero, but it's true. Like some people would agree with what he did. To me, Walker is a broken character. He is on the and it gets illustrated in this episode. We'll get more on that. But Law, I want you to give us your thoughts on the opening that you've been waiting for. When this guy gave you Homelander vibes
since day one. I was like, I cannot wait for them to just go, oh, we're gonna give him the work. I was not expecting the fact that he put up such a good fight. Like I was like, oh, this is about to be a wash. And your man was like still juiced up and roided up. And I was like, oh, if they let him just like get a win, I'm gonna be so mad right now. I was gonna be so hyped and so mad. And then it kind of it got dark because like you guys said, like I didn't expect them to like try to kill them, like. But he's at a point now, I think, in this arc where he's like, whoever's in my way is a wall that I'm going to go through. And he doesn't care. So, like, it tracks. It makes sense. I don't support it. I don't like it. But it's setting up the character for what he should be. And, oh, man, it's going to be so crazy. That's the part that bugged me because I was like, first of all, give it up for Bucky. The face that he put on, he was like, nah, we want this. Like, we want all the smoke right now.
Yeah.
I'm against Bucky later, but Bucky's been easily, like, slowly becoming one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Damn. But, like, he was ready to put in that work. And the fact that, like, Walker held his own and was just ragdolling him, I was like, oh, don't let this fight go the way I think it is. Thankfully, it didn't, but, like, y'all had me in the first half. I ain't gonna lie.
They broke his arm. Tone, weigh in. I know you've been waiting to weigh in on this fight too.
I mean, I was waiting for him to catch the hands, right? Like, so like that's kind of what we all been waiting for. But to everyone's point, I didn't expect it to be so fast. I did like that he was running away like a little bitch. It wasn't one of those things where after he kills this guy, he isn't like standing up and saying, I'm Captain America. He literally like just ran away. And they found him, but also, to Pete's point, it was a really close fight. And it's one of those things where you've got the super soldier serum in him. You've got adrenaline going on, trying to do what he's got to do for his friend. And you got all this fucking training that he's had. Like, as he says, when he's at the podium, that they built him up. They gave him this purpose. So all of that's coming out. It's not just, it's not just Bucky kind of doing his Winter Soldier stuff, just kind of going based off muscle memory, and Sam kind of doing his thing. John Walker's been training. He's been out in the shit for a good while. So you see that in his way of fighting and just kicking their asses and holding his own. I'm glad, obviously, it got to the point where they beat him and they broke his arm, and they did exactly what the crew in Infinity War couldn't do by taking the shield off. And so it was well worth it. And I like what they're doing with John Walker, that we know what he did was wrong, but they're also exploring his whole entire mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we're seeing both sides of the coin.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I think it's a good dichotomy for us to see it. It's not just him being crazy and him committing these crimes and us just seeing like just seeing our point of view. We're also seeing his point of view, which doesn't clear his slate, but I still like to see it, and I think they're doing a really great job with him.
Yeah, we're gonna get more to John Walker in a second because and even Pete said it. Bucky almost watched Cap and Widow, but almost got his whole ass beat by Walker. I have to say it this because again, Walker is in a different mindset. He is just crazy.
But Bucky almost watched him when he was like in Terminator state.
Yeah, he was in Terminator. So he wasn't holding back, and Cap and Widow were holding back. So we'll get in more in that second because I do want to touch up more on John Walker. But we get this other scene now that I want to touch up on.
Yeah.
Bucky turns Zemo over to Io from the Harlem Knots. She says that they are taking him to the raft, and this struck a chord with me because not as a negative chord, as a chord like oh things are shooting right now. Do you think that Zemo going to the raft will lead to him getting a Thunderbolt spin-off?
Yeah.
And we will lead into Pong with this one. Pong, take it away with this one.
I mean, that's from what I understand, that's the way that the comics went. I was never into the comics that much. My knowledge on the comics is about an inch deep, but from what I understand, that is how Thunderbolt Ross will likely get brought into this, and it'll be kind of interesting because he'll be the only character that made it over from the Incredible Hulk, if I remember right.
Yep.
Which was the very first MCU movie, and with Ed Norton and all that.
We're also getting the other dude. What's his name? To be the Abomination. He's going to be in She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But it's going to be interesting because, him going there, and people know, just to explain to the viewers, the Thunderbolts was a supervillain team acting as superheroes formed by Baron Zemo when the Avengers had disappeared. So that's why it's like him going to the raft. The raft is a prison, has Thunderbolt Ross, who was a member of that. Kimbo, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know much about it, but I do know, because I've done some, I watched a couple of YouTube videos that talk about little theories and stuff like that. And because I found it weird that they were sending him to the raft and not just taking him themselves, considering they know that he was responsible for King T'Chaka's death, essentially. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm more interested as to why they decided to give him up to the raft, as opposed to the actual potential of the spinoff.
Yeah, and so does this mean that I will totally mangle the name. What is this?
Dora Milaje?
Dora Milaje. That's what I was saying. That's what my microphone. It's all my microphone. The Dora Milaje. It almost kind of seems like they're being set up to be the people that kind of start the Thunderbolts taking place. Then, right? If they're bringing.
I think they're using this as a MacGuffin in a way where, okay, we're just taking him to a prison. The Raft is a very well-known prison in the Marvel universe, in the comics.
Right.
And it would make sense that we have Zemo meeting other people to form this team.
Do we know if there's anyone else on the Raft currently?
They haven't said.
But I think they might be the other villains that have had in the other MCU movies. But I think one thing we have to, and it's just a matter of circumstance because of Chadwick Boseman's death. We don't know what the leadership situation is in Wakanda aside from what we saw at the end of Endgame. So we don't, because we know that T'Challa wanted to bring Wakanda into the fold, and part of that would be potentially having villains or bad guys that are kind of a global threat to the Raft, and that could have been an order that either he or Shuri gave, that all these folks are now going there, as opposed to just Wakanda being, judge, jury, executioner. But to your point, Pong, it makes it's still questionable of why this is the guy who murdered their king and how they're bringing him off. But I think there's going to be a lot of things that potentially what the Wakandans do that we just don't know, probably until Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
And first with Pete, would you rather have the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers, or do you want to see a matchup? I'd rather the Thunderbolts first and the Dark Avengers. That gets a little confusing. Aries, I want to get your thoughts on this. Again, Thunderbolts team that Zemo formed, with them taking him to the raft. Do you think that we are going to get a spin-off of that, of supervillains acting as superheroes, kind of like a Marvel Suicide Squad?
Well, if it should be. I don't see why not. I think it'd be a good thing. I would definitely watch it. You know, I would.
Oh yeah,
I think so. I don't see why not. It makes sense for it too, following the comic book. So
I think it
it's a
would
game
make
for me.
I think it would make a great show. Law. I mean,
Same.
It would.
I think it'll be a great show, and I think like to Tone's point, that if T'Challa wanted to bring Wakanda to like the front and center world stage, if it were, and essentially like not keep these supervillains to Wakanda and be Wakandan prisoners, but make them a global prisoner, like everyone can keep their eye on. So there's no can I have that checks and balances, and no one can really point a finger for the most part. Like, oh, he was under the Wakandan watch, this and third. No, if someone gets out, it's on all of us, kind of thing.
Mm.
So I kind of see that as the thought process for it. But I am 100% for the Thunderbolts being a thing, because I think they announced it, or they teased that it was going to happen, and I am 100% for it, because from what little I know about the comics, the introduction of so many characters that like you can literally bring back the Punisher if we really got like that deep, because he was one of the members. So let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Again, Thunderbolts was a nice little answer to the popular Suicide Squad, with the fact, again, a villain team. Again, reformed villains, which we had Screamy Mimi, who became Songbird, who was linked to the Power Broker at one point. Tony, are you ready for Thunderbolts? Do you think it's coming?
I think it's definitely coming. We're just bringing Zemo, like confirming that Zemo is going to the raft, totally brings it up to, kind of brings it up front. And I think at this point, what Marvel's doing is bringing out all the big guns, because we don't know what the next 10 years are going to be. We're just kind of bringing all these shows together and still dealing with the aftermath of Thanos. So they can literally do whatever they want. I'm going to say my wild theory, because I know before I talked about Young Avengers versus Ultron. If he comes back, Young Avengers and Thunderbolts might be the thing, because we are bringing all the Young Avengers. We're missing like 2 at this point.
They're bringing a lot to the fold, which
I'm here for it if that's the case.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say, you were talking about them bringing back the Punisher. Well, Charlie Cox, Daredevil, he just finished filming for Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in it. So that means that if Charlie Cox is canon, man, oh my God, I hope they bring back Kingpin. I know that's not what this show's about, but
no, any Marvel, it always tends to happen. But also too, the actor who played Doc Ock also confirmed that he is in the movie too. So this new Spider-Man movie,
is Doc Ock.
Yeah. It's really good, Doc. Spider-Man 2 is so good.
Before we get into all with the characters and everything, because I know Marvel's doing a lot of exciting things, and there's 2 characters that we're seeing in this series that also has me excited. But before we get into them, let's get into the United States versus John Walker, and not the liquor. United States versus John Walker. He is stripped of the title of Captain America, but he also meets everyone's favorite Veep, and that's a little spin on that, because she was from the show Veep, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who was playing Valentina Allegra de Fonte, which we will get to in a second, because that's a whole thing right there, which we're going to deep dive in.
She's essentially Selena Meyer in the MCU.
We will get into this character. What do you guys think of what's going through John Walker's head at this moment, especially with him blaming the government for making him the way he is, and that he is Captain America? Kimbo, I want you to lead into this one.
Yeah, like that was the first thing that I was going to say. Like the one thing that he kept repeating all the time, even during the fight, was just, I am Captain America. And like, I kind of understand in a sense where he's coming from, because he feels like this is all he knows. This is all he's trained for his entire life. He sacrificed like all his time, put all his time into this, and he feels like they're responsible for making him this way. All he did was follow orders. Yep. They were what I heard somebody make a quote about this, and they said that John Walker was the guy that the government wanted Captain America to be originally, instead of Steve Rogers. You know, and I think like John Walker lived up to that potential, and America's kind of afraid of what they've created in a sense.
And I want to take this from everyone's favorite Atlas. Do you think Riri Williams will be something with the Young Avengers? Yeah, most definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yep.
I mean, we have America Chavez announced. We have Miss Marvel coming out. I believe they're announced for Riri Williams. So there are a lot more characters we're going to see. And also, too, he had a big thing involved with the Young Avengers, which is Kang the Conqueror, who we know has been casted. And he's going to make an appearance in the Ant-Man movie. So they're laying out the breadcrumbs, which in this series, too, they laid out the breadcrumbs for some characters, just like they did with WandaVision, which, again, we're getting a second. And then Pete goes, okay, and Electro, Ock and Electro confirmed. Rumors still about the foe. I would not be surprised if the foe is confirmed. But Aries, next up, we'll go with you. What do you think is going through John Walker's head in this fun court scene?
He's in denial. I'm being so serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's kind of like you said earlier, like he's going to get whoever's in his way, he's going to blow through them. If he was just as Captain America as he was, then he would have sat there and went after the girl and not the guy who was just hanging out in the corner who happened to be on her team. That's not the one who sat there and killed the dude. Like, own up to what you sat there and did and admit that you was wrong. Granted, you could have said no. You didn't have to become Captain America.
Yeah.
And now you're getting upset.
That's true.
You knew what you signed up for. You knew that there was going to be consequences. You know that there's going to be deaths. Nobody's, well, probably now, but nobody's not immortal. So it is what it is.
Man.
And I think he's in denial, and now he's mad because what he thought was right, they're not on his side with it, and they're kicking him to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
And he need to be happy about the deal that he got. It could have been a lot worse.
And he got that shield taken away like he was a little.
He didn't deserve that, as far as I'm concerned.
No, not at all.
No, you did it. Pong, what are your thoughts on this character?
Well, so the thing that's interesting is that you have to wonder. I mean, especially if we're considering this to be an analog, a parallel to our own. If this United States is basically our United States plus the blip, right? If you look at it like that, his real crime was getting caught. Because if they wanted him to be that, if that's what they originally wanted him to be, then if he wouldn't have gotten caught, if he wouldn't have done that in public, if he would have done that privately, out of the range of all the cameras, would they have complained?
I like that you brought that up because that's, again, a social.
Absolutely fuck not.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
They would have gave him another medal and fucking
'cause
smacked him on the ass. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, keep going.
Because they got a video of an American killing someone on foreign ground. Like,
That was the problem.
that's the problem. It's just the optics.
Yep. That was
And
the
if that
problem.
was Steve Rogers, he would have never done that.
Nope.
Absolutely
Steve,
not,
Steve
no.
was all American. Steve was the guy.
Well, also Steve
was-
Steve Rogers also just would not show up. Like he like
But actually,
he might have gave him a really good beating and slammed him up a little bit, but he surely
Mhm.
wouldn't have chopped his head off with it.
Hell no.
Yeah.
no, but if you think about it, like John Walker doing that is actually kind of a callback to Captain America about to, hit Iron Man in the
Yeah.
chest with the shield. It's a callback to the same shot and everything,
Right.
except he didn't actually
Right.
kill
Oh, yeah.
Tony.
He knew,
And the
knew
fight.
it was like, yeah, it was non-lethal.
Yeah,
and
that was-
the fight between them in the beginning episode is also definitely a callback at the end of Civil War when you've got Bucky and Cap versus Iron Man.
Yep.
Like
Oh,
there was
yeah.
just lots of really good callbacks and imagery that just
Mhm.
reminds us of the past.
Tony, I want to get your thoughts of what's going through Walker's head.
I mean, I gotta say, this scene was fucking fantastic. Just Riot Russell's acting in this scene. You see the emotion that he is going through. Like he truly believes he was in the right. There is like no question, and what he's saying to this council of people, like the senator, and it really rings a chord because at some point, at some level, he is right. They built him up to
Mhm.
be this person.
Yeah.
He got 3 medals of honor. He did things that we don't know about in the war. So to just throw him away, which is right, they had to, as we said, the optics.
Yep.
And I also like how they treated the scene. I know some of us last week we were talking about the fact that he was going to get away scot-free, kind of like to double down on some of the stuff we've been seeing in our own own home, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They owned up, and they have to get rid of them, and they They discharged him. He's getting no benefits. He's got nothing. His entire career now is just a wash. So we're gonna see him kind of go off the edge. But I love this scene. I thought it was the best scene we saw for Wyatt Russell. Like, look, I know we didn't like him as Cap, but he sold it. I was here for it. It was really like shit, man. But also shouldn't have killed the guy. But shit, man.
Take it away with this.
I'm pretty sure, like, I'm totally with you with that tone. I think that was like their version of like, give him all of the stuff that makes it feel right, but everyone sat in the back of their head going, you killed the guy on national TV and you got a slap on the wrist. Because even Julia Louis-Dreyfus said they don't care about that stuff. It's all for like show and politics. No, it's not there. Like, I think she even referenced, like, if you a different light, it happens, it would have been no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of like made reference to that. And to that point, it was like, damn, like they would just as easy give him a slap on the wrist, put him in like some deep freeze, whatever the case is, or just get rid of him. Or somebody like her will come along and be like, hey, I got you a better job. I got you a better offer. And then the government still goes, oh yeah, we still need a Captain America. Let's go pump another super soldier out without hesitation. And I was just like, oh, okay, like that's fucked up. Because again, on a global scale, everyone's like, does the punishment fit the crime? No. And it does to it like very small degree. It is like it is the equivalent of like, here's a lollipop, you like shattered your leg, like, you know what I mean, like. So but beautiful scene, like definitely speaks volumes to a lot of stuff we've seen lately. And oh man, like again, Wyatt Russell, love the actor, hate the character so much. Like
he did a great job. He made you hate the character.
Exactly.
He is literally the Ramsay Bolton, like Joffrey, character. Like right now, like everyone loves to hate him, and he's doing a great job at selling it.
We just want to say, what's up, Pete?
What's up?
So the next character we want to get into, because again, Louis Dreyfus is playing this character, and for those, I'm just going to send the link so you guys could actually check her out later after the show. But just to give you a brief history, so Valentina Allegra de Fonte, brief history lesson. Again, from the Marvel Prime Universe, her character is a former member of the organization known as Leviathan. Is known to have a relationship with Nick Fury. Was a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a good chunk of their comic appearances, and she even led a group known as the Femme Force within S.H.I.E.L.D. Worked with heroes such as Union Jack, joined Hydra, became Madam Hydra, and manipulated the organization for Leviathan. Now, with the introduction of her character, do you guys think that this is going to help set up other MCU characters that she has been involved with, other organizations within the MCU that are rich with Marvel history, and help set up a richer history for the MCU that predates Iron Man and even Captain Marvel? I want to lead into Aries with this one.
Yeah, it does. It sets it up for all of it, actually. What does it say?
No, Pete says S.H.I.E.L.D., Madam Hydra, European S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Yep, all of that.
Yes, it is. Oh, sorry.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
over the same shit. But no, I think it's a good turn for it. Well, she likes to be called Val. That long name was a little bit too extra for me also. But like I said, it's a setup for a good part. I just don't know about Walker. He should not have taken that serum, I swear. Because at this point, like, he's a hot head. Like, he really is. He's aware of what's going on, but he still is a hothead. And I don't think that will be, quote unquote, like S.H.I.E.L.D. ready in that particular case. Yeah. So they're going to have to do a lot of work when it comes to him, but it is definitely a good spinoff to introduce the other characters. Absolutely.
And Pete says too, as in she was supposed to premiere first in Black Widow, and we can say, yeah, we talked Thunderbolts, the Raph mentioned, but she was supposed to. And again, and Lisa Rinna played her in the bad Nick Fury film, Oh, don't bring that up. That we don't bring up David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. That's bad. But Pong, we're gonna have you go next with this one. Do you think that's just gonna set up a rich history for the characters? Now getting that tidbit information that you're supposed to be in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Please give us your thoughts on this character if we're gonna see more.
I would say absolutely, number one. And number two, going back to something I can't remember. Is it Tony or Tone?
Tone or Tony. It's fine. It's fine. But
okay, cool. Going back to something Tone said earlier about the whole court scene. If you look at it in that perspective, in the perspective of her, used to work with Nick Fury, or now she might be with Hydra, blah blah blah. Now at this point, since they have stripped him of his Captain America-ness, he's vulnerable because he doesn't have a pension, he doesn't have any money, he doesn't have anything, right? All he has is a drive to be this thing, right? And so here she comes to offer him that on a platter, right? So now he'll do whatever she tells him to. She can snap and he'll do the things, So I definitely think that's going to introduce that. He's clearly going to become U.S. agent. I would imagine, And so, yeah, no, absolutely.
Kimbo, well, before we do that, Dave, yes, my hair has had a unfortunate. It met with the Clippers, bro. It met with the Clippers.
Wow.
Go to bed, Dave. But Kimbo, yes. Do you think that with the introduction of the character, we're gonna get more rich Marvel history, more backdrop before Captain Marvel, more characters that she may have been involved with? Take it away with this character, Kimbo.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm excited to see a whole bunch of different organizations, just things we didn't know that were happening, just because start coming to the forefront and everything like that. With Sword that already happened in WandaVision and everything like that. So to see more things popping up is pretty cool. Also, first off, when I looked up this character and I found out that she had a relationship with Nick Fury, immediately I'm like, oh. And her in the scene with Samuel L. Jackson, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be hilarious. But also, to her character, I think John Walker, honestly, is just super confused because, like Aries said earlier, he really shouldn't have taken the serum because Lamar told him the serum is just supposed to make you more of yourself. So Lamar was like, yeah, no, I would take the serum. It should just make you more yourself. And I guess John Walker assumed more of himself would be a good thing. Because I think he was just trying to do the good thing and he got kind of confused. And like you said earlier, he's trying to be this thing, he's trying to be this symbol, essentially. And he's trying to be it by any means necessary at this point. So Val coming through, offering it to him, like you said, on a silver platter, it's going to be perfect. She's going to be a female Nick Fury, and I'm here for it.
She already got the boots and the jacket.
Right?
Fair. Yeah.
So do you think she's going to be a Nick Fury, or do you think she's going to be like or do you think she's going to be like an evil Nick Fury?
I'm thinking evil Nick Fury.
I'm thinking evil Nick Fury too.
Yep.
I mean,
she gave them a blink,
same
black
coin,
and white
opposite side.
Yeah. Same
and
coin,
also
opposite side.
we're still with the whole thing that we're trying to fill the void of after S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU since S.H.I.E.L.D. has been disbanded. So we have organizations that popped up that we saw Sword in WandaVision. Yep. So it's what organization is she going to be? Most likely, is it Leviathan? Is it an offshoot of Hydra? And then Pico's part of me thinks that if Bucky and Sam had given Walker a chance, he might have been okay. Probably not, but it's an interesting thing about. I mean, again, with Walker, it's going to be interesting how
I
they
think
take
early on
they
wanted to give him a chance.
Yeah, but
I think early on they wanted to give him a chance, but he said, he was the one who initiated, stay the hell out of my way if you're not going to be with me.
Yeah. They also asked them for the shield. They tried they tried to not throw hands, and then it just got.
Bucky, let's be fair. Bucky wanted all the smoke.
They tried.
All the smoke.
They tried. Just to check the box to say that they tried.
Yeah.
Nah, Bucky looked at him and he said, "Hey, yo, my guy, I'm gonna need you to run that shield real quick."
But
I was just hoping his arm didn't fall off while he was in the midst of fighting, because that would have been a whole nother situation.
No. That's if he was fighting Io. We established anybody that he's fighting.
But you also got to keep in mind that the new Captain America was in the room when it happened. So he might have saw the little hand movement they did, and he could have easily just dismantled it.
Oh please, that man didn't see that. He didn't pay attention.
No.
He's too busy getting his ass whooped.
That man doesn't know how to shut off chakras. Let's be real.
Yeah.
That's valid though.
So, Laura, how do you feel about Julianne Dreyfus' character coming in? Are you excited to see what her character is bringing into the MCU and everything? And
For sure. I'm here for whatever that means with her, and like Kimbo said, with her and Nick with Samuel L. Jackson like on screen at the same time. I'm here for it. Like the little back and forth lover quarrels, but then also like, you know, there's that tension of like I'm doing what I think is right, I'm doing what I know is right, and they're like that moral weird gray that they're both gonna have, that you know you're probably gonna see her do stuff that you're just gonna be like, that's not okay. But then you'll get hit with, because Marvel does this very well, with a lot of her actions being somewhat justified or reasonable. Like they start in a place that we can relate to. And I'm thinking that's the way they're gonna go with this. I'm excited to see it. Like Pong said, took him out of such a vulnerable spot and played, like completely ignored his wife. Like here's a card, doesn't say shit on it. You're not important. Oh, look, you're like, oh, she's so pretty. You're just completely disregarded the wife. I was like, oh, bitch. Like, what? So, like, I'm here for it. I think the energy she brought in that one scene of her just like, yeah, I'm that guy, was the same thing that like Nick Fury did, when like you saw in the early MCU where Nick would just be in a room and people are like, "What the fuck are you? What are you doing here?" And third, and he'd be like, "I'm supposed to be here." Or he'll be very just like, "What do you mean? Like I'm Nick Fury?" Like, you know, it's gonna be that same vibe and that same energy, but we're gonna see that like opposite, side of the coin, like Tone said, where like a lot of things get real murky gray with her, and we're gonna be like, "Oh." No, I don't know if it's gonna be like Thunderbolts-esque. I think it's like straight up like, what if Hydra, I don't know, try to be the good guys but didn't? I don't know how that's gonna work out, but I'm here for it.
Do you think that they're going to use this to kind of like move the Overton window to like, say, okay, well, these things aren't okay. These things that we regard as not okay. Well, some of them may be a little okay. Well, maybe a little more is okay. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like they're gonna play with that?
We're gonna get those Black Ops characters because Marvel also has a rich history with Black Ops characters, right? And like again with the Thunderbolts, Nick Fury, there are a lot of characters like that in the Marvel. Silver Sable. There's a lot of them that they could play with, which we could see in the spy world and spy thrillers. And no, Pete, I don't think they gave him a bacon, egg, and cheese with that back with the Shield. So, how do you feel about Louis Dreyfus being a fan of Veep and everything? How do you feel about her portraying this character? Are you excited what her character is going to bring to the MCU?
Bro, I'm super hyped. I'm super. If you have not watched Veep, watch it. Like exactly how Selena Myers and how she does not give a shit about anybody around her. She's gonna bring that energy and more into this role. I didn't expect it. I know there were rumors coming on that we were getting an established new Marvel character with a famous actor or actress. Did not expect it to be her, but the minute you see her walk in, she's in the Congress. I'm like, oh shit, it's Selena Meyer. What's she doing in the MCU? Exactly. Veep is dope. She's meant for this role, just but based off what we've read up about the character, what I've learned about the character over these last this week, I'm here for it. I think we may get a little bit of her Marvel backstory, but I think Marvel likes to do this thing where let's take like a bunch of characters sometimes and bring them together to make them into one character. Since this is a cinematic universe, I think she's the power broker. That's what I think. I don't know if we're gonna get another big casting for Power Broker. If we do, cool, and I'm wrong, whatever.
Are you giving up on the fact that this girl might be the Sharon Carter?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think she's doing some froggy shit. She's doing some spooky shit though. She's but I think she might be Power Broker. That's why she's bringing in John Walker. Obviously, John Walker didn't get the serum from the Power Broker as he does in the comics, but she may use him to go after the Flag Smashers since that person has been texting them like nonstop. You got to bring me my shit or I'm going to run your shit. Like that's literally what's been happening. 2, if we were supposed to get her in Black Widow, we don't know if Red Guardian has the super soldier serum, and if he does, where did he get it from? And would it have been from her?
With Black Widow's coming out this summer, we're gonna find
So
out.
I'm definitely here for it. And to everyone's point, seeing her and Sam Jackson interact, I think would be really cool. Whether they have like an actual like relationship, or just like they've known each other in the field because they've been doing this for a long time, I think will be really just great for everyone involved to watch. So I'm here for it.
See, now I got to go watch Veep because as soon as I saw her walk on the screen, I heard boom, 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 boom. Oh, hey, it's the girl from Seinfeld.
Oh, it's Elaine.
It's Elaine, yeah.
But Pete says Sharon Carter is in the works for the Power Broker in the least. But yeah, it's gonna be Julia Louis-Dreyfus. That's a good point that you made, Tone Pete. And then Dave goes, Dag joke activations. Bucky and Thor should have a spinoff. Call it Arm and Hammer.
Go to bed.
We're going to have a Dave joke hour one day where we're just going to give it to Dave, and it's just going to be the show of Dave. Just because if you have not seen Dave and his dad jokes, so with that light note, because I want to go over this next question, I'll save it for after this one. We know Nick Fury did. But I want to do this, because a lighthearted note before we get into this next question. Is Bucky going to be Sam's new brother-in-law? Kimbo, please lead with this one.
Yo, my man is trying to clap cheeks, bro. First off,
can we establish that he's got a permanent invite to the cookout? Like Bucky permanent.
I'm almost certain him and Io had something back in Wakanda. I'm almost certain something happened. There's something there. There's something there. There's something there. And clearly Bucky got a thing for the sisters. So hey, more power to him.
I'm not saying Bucky got a type, but
Bucky got a type.
I ain't mad at him.
I ain't mad at him either.
Paul, what do you think?
Will they end up will he end up what you said, a brother-in-law?
Yeah. Is Sam gonna have a new brother-in-law?
I don't know. But man, they sure did tease it. And if they're going to tease it, it's the whole Chekhov's gun thing. If they show it in the first act, you got to use it by the third act. So I'm going to have to say, based on that, they don't show it unless it's going to come back later. So yes.
And by observation from Peach, yeah, she did, because the way she looked back at Bucky like he was a snack. Aries, please give us.
Like he was a snack.
Do you think that Sam is about to have a new brother-in-law?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Either that or the fish are going to be fed. One of the two.
See, this is why I love it. We got love. Says, like, Bucky, come on. We're going to need to go on a fishing trip real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick.
Hey, look over the edge of the boat. I think there's something on the bottom of the lake there.
Yep, that metal arm is going to make him sink.
Just like me.
Oh God, Law, you're gonna hate me for this, Law, because you're up next. Do you have any recommendations for Bucky, Law, to help him get in there?
Wow, what is this? What is going on?
What are we doing? Wow,
you got the light. You set the mood. I don't know, man. It's love.
Wow. Sebastian, you're on timeout. Anyways, yes. First of all, I just want to jump a little bit to where Bucky was like on the couch sleeping, and like he didn't have a nightmare. He didn't have a nightmare. He was genuinely happy, and just like you saw him smile for like the first time throughout like this whole series. You know what I mean? Like he smiled, but like it was like he felt like he was safe enough and comfortable enough to like have that. And I think that's like if they're trying to set up like him with Sam's sister, then I'm here for it. Like I think. Not only does she need love, but like Buck needs like just a happy place. Like this boy has been through so much. I'm just like, somebody give this boy a hug and some love, please, because my poor baby boy.
This is for you, Law, from Atlas.
I imagine Yang has some. If you guys watch Ruby, if you know, you know. That's valid.
But Yeah, so Tone, you're next. I mean, we saw Bucky, like how Law just pointed out, he was there, didn't have nightmares. He was smiling at these kids, like, yeah, I'm gonna be your future daddy. Do you think that Sam is going to have a brother-in-law?
Oh, I didn't even say all that. I didn't even say all that.
I don't know.
Trying to speed past the
I don't
two.
know. I think
Whose man's is this?
I don't know whose man. I don't know whose man's is this. I don't know. You lose the facial hair and this wildness comes out of him, I guess.
That extra now.
I don't know. I think it's cool. I think him flirting with Sam's sister is kind of bringing Bucky back that we saw in Cap 1, because he just wasn't that person anymore. He's been a broken person, like from the beginning, from this 5-episode arc. Bucky has been broken, looking for purpose and putting that purpose in Cap, putting that purpose in Sam, putting that purpose in the Shield. And like they have that talk to talk, and I think that happens after this whole scene. But he's just been looking for purpose in other things aside from himself. So I think us getting that lighthearted moment of him smiling, getting up, and him telling the kids like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's smiling, just thinking about it. Him flirting with Sam's sister. He's just kind of he's getting moments back to himself that he probably hasn't had for years since before the war.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what they're doing with the character. And I think the whole thing of being Sam's sister and how it's like a buddy cop sort of situation and they're jabbing at each other, just kind of adding to the humor of the whole thing. And
It's
I
like
think
Bad Boys 2 all over again.
Yeah. I think it works because like what's he like? Why would his sister be interested in him? Let's see. He's an attractive dude for all intents and purposes, but he's helping the boat. Like he's helping her do her thing. He's probably pretty chill with the kids. He's just an overall good dude. So like it makes sense where like he's kind of, flirting with her and she's flirting back because there's a mutual attraction there. But I don't know if we're gonna get like a permanent thing. I think it's more of a getting his humanity back, because that's the one thing he's been trying to find. That's why he's been doing this whole thing in the notebooks, and we know from what Sam tells him, yo, bro, you gotta do more than what you're doing. Like he's got to go talk to his friend, I think in New York, that letting him know what happened to his son. Like he has to do that, and that's going to be really like heart wrenching that he has to do that, but he has to do that to get that piece of humanity that he's been just looking for. And I think we got a little bit of that in the boat montage sort of thing.
No, and it was a beautiful montage. I'm glad they did that. We got the training montage, we got everything. We saw the build of their relationship and everything. And again, Pete asked this, and maybe Puerto Rican, so I don't know that Bucky better get used to properly seasoned food. He's moving on from the ramen spot to comfort food. Yes, he is. But mentioning Puerto Rican, mentioning Spanish, I just want to share this with you guys to get really excited for this. Here we go.
Oh no, what's he doing?
Everybody got the
Okay.
eyebrow raised.
Okay, I get it. All right.
I got you, boy Torres.
All right, I see what you did there.
Good job. Look at you. We're so proud of you.
I thought you were gonna put out a plate of food. I'll be honest. Or like a like a thing of Old Bay or fucking adobo or something.
But no,
It's not too late to do that. But
this does segue very nicely, because Torres, if you guys don't know in the comics, like I think Sebastian was gonna allude to, becomes the Falcon. And I think I think Sam telling him to keep the wings is leading up to this.
Yeah, it's leading up to the fact, which again gets me excited because again, just to give it a whole backstory, I remember going before I started doing cons and everything. I went to a Marvel panel. One of the questions was asked was about diversity in characters, and Marvel was like, we're working on that right now. And this was like many moons ago, when the first Iron Man movie came out. Yeah. And so what happened was is that what we're getting now in the MCU, we're seeing more diversity. And Torres is the next character in the comics that takes over the mantle of the Falcon. I've always been a firm believer that Sam Wilson is always going to be Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson, you can't, replace him, but he can have a talent. The fact of him becoming Captain America, which we're going to get in the next episode, was his graduation from sidekick to hero. But now we're getting Torres, who is again Hispanic. We're getting him filling that role of Falcon. How do you guys feel about this origin story, which again, similar to WandaVision, how we saw them utilize the show to help portray the origin story of Photon. How do you guys feel that we're seeing these origin stories play out for not just U.S. Agent, but now for the new Falcon as well? Kimbo, we'll leave with you with this.
I thought it was really cool because, like, when he came up in the first episode, and Sam was trying to fix Red Wing and everything, and then he was trying to step in, try to help him out and everything. He's like, yo, no, I got this. But it showed that he actually knew what he was doing with that sort of technology and everything like that. So when Sam tells him to keep the wings, it totally makes sense that he would become the Falcon. I didn't even know that until I looked it up after the episode. I was like, oh, he becomes the Falcon. I'm like, that makes total sense. I'm totally okay with this.
Yeah.
Aries?
I agree with him. Like I said, you gotta at some point you gotta pass the torch. I mean, no offense. And Sam, he's really throwing that shield around. I don't know. I didn't look into anything extra past. I like to be surprised. So I don't really read up into anything after the episode. But it's good to know that the guy now is actually going to turn into the Falcon. So that, I love it.
Yeah.
We got to have our black and our brown hanging out together, right?
Absolutely.
Pete says El Falcon. Yes. Dave goes, why Puerto Rican gotta have chicken wings? He needs to that pork shoulder. Dave, go to bed. You're gonna have to do some fight trainings, though, because he got dealt with on that one episode, and yeah, he's gonna
do a lot of training.
Pong, how do you feel about these origin stories playing out now that we know that we are getting the second Falcon? We're seeing the U.S. Agent play out. We saw Photon. How do you feel about these origin stories playing out right now?
Yeah, so I actually used to work for Disney for about 5 years, and their pipeline is ridiculously long, and so it doesn't surprise me at all that they were planning to have exactly this. 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more than that, 14 years ago. So not surprised at all that it took a while to get here, and I'm glad that we're finally getting here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that we're finally about to get Miss Marvel. I wish the past year hadn't held everything back, because I should have already seen. I should be watching Doctor Strange by now if I remember right. But but yeah. So I guess to answer your question directly, yeah, no, I'm super into it. Like, I'm glad to see all these new different arcs coming up, and superheroes in ways that you don't expect to see. Like, how the I cannot remember the man's name, but the older guy that was experimented on. I don't know if you want to wait for that, but
Elijah Bradley.
Elijah.
Yeah. Him saying, there will never be a black Captain America. I was like, oh well, he's definitely going to be Captain America if he says that, like, which is great, So it's awesome. No, I'm definitely into it for sure.
I'm loving again, because again, DC, Marvel. I was a big fan of DC as a kid. I mean, of Marvel as a kid. DC, I got more into with the shows and all that because, thank you, Batman, Bruce Timm, you did it, and then got into the comics. But I love that they are bringing these origin stories there, and they're actually pulling a lot from the comics, especially when it comes to John Walker, because a lot of that stuff they're pulling from the 80s and mixed with some of the stuff now. The fact that we are now getting the diversified heroes, we're getting these origin stories, and they're using this, and Kevin Feige is using the TV shows. And Pete, yes, thank you for coming through, Pete. Have a wonderful night, brother. Peace, love, and
Later,
love
Pete.
to you and your family, brother. But Law, how do you feel about this origin story of the next Falcon playing out?
I'm so here for it, and we've been saying it for a while that like a lot of these like superhero characters, their superhero persona is a title that can be given like to someone else. It doesn't have to always be them. So the fact that he can just be like, nah, you keep those wings, and allude to the fact that, hey, I'm gonna step into Captain America. Maybe I'll have wings, because in the comics he does keep the wings and do the thing. But if he has the wings or not, he's moving into Captain America, which means now someone needs to take up that role of being Falcon. And why not? Like, Torres is definitely throughout the show proving himself time and time again to have a lot of the qualities that Steve looked at Sam for and whatnot. You know what I mean? So, like, I think just, having that, that eye to be like, he's the right guy. He's a good fit. I'm here for all that.
And Tony, take us away with this one.
I mean, like everyone says, I'm here for it, right? What I love that the shows are doing is that they are doing the groundwork to establish these newer heroes so that when they get into the movie, we don't got to worry about nothing. Like the movie can have a main point and like just like 2.5 hours of just whatever this event is, and we're bringing in whoever we need to bring in, and sure, like little bits and pieces may be brought up in conversation, but you don't have to waste time in establishing people. Obviously, some of the Marvel movies have done perfect. I think Civil War established T'Challa and Spider-Man in one movie, and they did the damn thing. But the fact that we're using these TV shows to bring in these characters to then use them in the movies. So like with Photon in in Captain Marvel 2, and we'll see with Torres and see where he goes. We don't have to worry about that stuff. We can just use these shows, these 6 to 8 episode shows, to establish these characters, bring them into these like giant events, because I think that's kind of what these movies are going to be now, just kind of the climactic comic book events. And then we've got the shows acting as like the auxiliary issues that we would read to then get more about the large events. And I think we're probably going to see that a little bit more. And then also it allows Marvel to explore different characters, because what they're going to do with Loki and I don't know the exact name of the Time Police, but that makes sense to do that in a show, and you get more out of those characters and how they play a role into the MCU. And then if they show up in a movie, we already know what they're all about, because then you don't have to worry about doing like a whole backtracking of who's who. So yeah, as long as we bring in more characters, bring in more diversity, let's and not just force diversity. These characters are who they are in the comics, and now instead of we're just bringing them up, we're seeing them on the screens, and actors are playing them, and everyone's kind of, we're seeing representation. We're seeing ourselves in these heroes, and not just as regular, not just as like some hero we'd never heard of or some random name, which is fine too. Everyone needs like an original hero, but just heroes as people, as names that we recognize, that have been around, that hold weight. And I think they're doing a fantastic job with this. So I'm here for any and all the new heroes they bring up through these TV shows.
And to quote Stan Lee, anyone can wear the mask. So last question for you guys, but also too, I want to point out, if you guys have not seen the trailer for Loki, pay attention to the fact that Loki is wearing a prison jumpsuit that says Variant. That's probably going to play out a big part too in the MCU in terms of that, because again, specific details. But
I can't wait. That's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be such a beautiful show.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston.
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. Like, he's so perfect for that point, for that part.
We're gonna, and we want everybody to come back. We're gonna be talking about Loki when it comes out. It is coming. But Kaylee has a plan, and she's at it again. And this time she's a little bit more, I feel, radicalized at this point. She's plotted her attack against the GRC and is looking to attack the GRC summit. But we also get the returning of George Batroc, aka Batroc the Leaper. How excited are you guys to see this villain team up? We're technically getting our first Marvel villain team up. How excited are you guys to see this villain team up? Pong, take it away with this one.
So as far as the villain team up part goes, I didn't know that guy's backstory. But one thing about the character in the first place is there is one thing that bothers me about it, and that's that the person who is against the government is being portrayed as something that is blanketly bad. And a lot of the words that she say kind of ring with this, like a bell of Antifa, sort of. You see, have you caught that a little bit? Like, it's like, oh, this person wants to change the world or whatever, wants freedom for everybody in a world without borders and all that, and that's bad. Is what the subtext appears to be. And I hope that, they take a turn with her, especially if US Agent gets out of the way, or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier make contact with her and say, hey, listen, let's do this a different way or something like that. I hope they dissolve it. But if they end up going head to head, I don't know where that goes next. But yeah, no, I wasn't familiar with that particular villain, but that was one thing about that character that always stuck with me every time I see her. It's just like, you have to represent people that are trying to change things in a bad light.
I mean, it's like again, I like how Sam's interaction again, and how Zemo pointed out. The fact is, this is that she has the super soldier serum in her,
Right.
and because her world keeps getting attacked, and Sam sympathizes with her.
Yeah.
But it's like you're telling her that this is a better way, but obviously she hasn't had that out because it's like the world keeps coming at her, keeps coming at her, keeps coming at her. It's like I keep trying to get out, but it keeps pulling me back in, keeps pulling me back in. So it's like she's kind of stuck like that.
Right.
What is going to be interesting is like again, she's been pushed to this point of radicalization, which we know can happen to anybody. And it's like she doesn't any like to your question, like when she killed those people in the bombing, she's like, oh, this is the only thing that they respond to. Again, her actions too as a freedom fighter is making her seem like a terrorist to others, which sucks. It sucks for she's a character that's just in this gray middle and says, I gotta re-radicalize. And I love the fact that we're getting George Batarock because he's not that much of a big character, but he's been a Captain America villain mainstay. And the fact that we got George St. Pierre playing this guy, and came back from Civil, they had him in, I think it was Captain America with Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So that's the last time we saw that character in the first episode of this series. Saw him now, and now we're gonna get more of him, and I think that that's gonna play out. They're gonna keep casting more. But Aries, how do you feel about this supervillain team up?
Kind of the same, but a combination of both you guys, so Pong and you, when it comes down to it. I really hope that she can find the way that she wants her voice to be heard, but not inside of such a negative, impactful way. So I doubt it's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
Being honest with you, I highly doubt it's going to happen. Yeah. But it's going to be. She kind of does look like a terrorist. It is what it is. When she sat there and blew the people inside the building. If she didn't do that, then it would have been like another way to sit and go around it. But she didn't choose that option, much like Captain America. He had a choice too. These are the choices that they're choosing, so they can't be upset about the outcomes that they're going to get from it whatsoever. I'm for it because I'm always for some excitement, whether it's good or bad. So I'm for them coming together.
Okay, Dave has a question. Random question if you want to answer. Being that the pandemic might be coming to an end soon, are you guys psyched or comfortable coming back to movie theaters, or is it watching from the home still prefer? I'd rather watch from home. Come on. Make your popcorn.
I watch from home pre-pandemic.
Listen, I don't have to worry about using the bathroom. Gotta dust the seat with everything.
Yeah, I will gladly pay $30 to Disney Plus early access to watch all of these movies, because if I go to see them, I'm paying more than $30 anyway.
That's
I
true.
hope it comes out soon.
He does not
My
speak for all of
Verizon
us.
plan,
I'm
I
not
get Disney
gonna
Plus for free now.
So that's,
Kimbo,
that's me.
How do you feel about the supervillain team up that we're getting?
But my thing is, like, I don't even like thinking of her as a villain because, like, I get where she's coming from, and like, so it just sucks that they're portraying her this way. But it's like she made that choice to do that. But at the same time, it kind of goes back to the whole, like, she also has a super serum in her, because I kind of forgot about that. Like, it's like Lamar said, it just makes you more of who you are. Right. So again, like, she believes she's doing the right thing, but like she's doing it by any means necessary. And like, I'm not okay with that. And like, Carly, I like you. I want to like you, but like, chill out. You shouldn't have killed people. Like, why are we doing that? But like Aries said, I'm down for any kind of excitement, good or bad. So like, I'm down to see some recklessness.
Can we do it by most means necessary?
Any.
Let's have a smaller list of things necessary. Can we do that?
Any. She's straight MLKing it out here and Malcolm X in it.
I was gonna say,
She's doing her thing. I mean, she got a. I mean, again, I love the actress. She played Emphas Ness in Han Solo, which again, she killed it in that role. She's killing it in this role, and I hope to see more of her character and her portraying the character in the future and where they go with the character. Who knows where she goes? I mean, she's a super soldier right now. Law, how do you feel?
I'm here for the team up so much, like to everyone's point, I'm here for the team up, but I don't want Carly to have that like villain arc, like that full realization to villain, because she's I think there's still some level of a cusp for her. Like it can go either way, but I think if it goes down the way we see it going down, like there's no return for her for the most part. Maybe she could redeem herself later, but it would take a lot for her to do so. But I think this push where she grabbed Batroc and was like, yo, like you're the guy, like you hate him as much as I do and all this other stuff. And you know, like it's one of those things where again, she's doing by any means necessary, and we're about to see some shit go down where like there's no real backpedal for this anymore. Like she's invested so much into this and she's gone so far into it that it's going to be so hard for her to backpedal. Like Batroc doesn't care. I'm fully, you know, he's accepted the fact that he's not the good guy. You know what I mean? Right. I think she does not yet see like herself as the villain. And she saw, let me backtrack. So Sam showed her very quickly in that conversation where she said, no, you made me say that. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh, like she was, you know, backing up and on her toes with Sam because he's trying to say like, yo, like I respect who you are and I know what you're trying to do. Yeah. Again, we've all been saying it. You're just doing it in the wrong way. So, you know, we empathize. I think, you know, this team up is going to be, you know, short-lived. It's only going to last throughout this because either, unfortunately, she might die, get captured, or she backpedals out of this, and maybe there's an arc where she, you know, redeems herself. But it's looking real narrow and whatnot. But we are going to probably just see Batroc go full force for this because he's that kind of guy. We've seen him just be like, "Oh, word, bet, like say less."
You want to know what's funny though, because and thinking about it now too, like Batroc, like you said, like he's gone full. I don't think we really even have him as he's just a hired gun, so we don't even know his full backstory of what type of character he is. He's all we know is that in Civil War he was a hired gun. No, not Civil War.
If you're paying enough, then he's for it.
Yeah, because that's all he's done. He's a hired gun. And also, too, Dave just wants to say, shout out to Kimbo, by the way. His Facebook game is strong. I recommend you guys follow him if you don't already. Guaranteed entertainment. Look at that. Dave, we love you, bro. Tony, take it away with this.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, go ahead, Kim. Wait, go ahead. Who's there?
No, I was just going to say, I think Law actually swung me the opposite direction in that he said, I correct me if I'm wrong here, but you said something to the effect of, I don't see that there's much of a way back for her, or it's basically a steep climb or whatever. I think that's the exact reason why I'm going to go all the way that she's going to get a redemption, because the story that everyone would expect is, oh, she's this is her fall from grace and she's going to be bad and then she's going to get killed. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a redemption arc for her. Even
I want it. I
Maybe.
Sincerely want it, but at the same time, I've seen, we've seen characters like Killmonger, and like we're literally seeing Killmonger before Killmonger was Killmonger. We're seeing what it takes to turn a character into Killmonger.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing right now. So where she may not get redemption, we may get a clearer picture of why, she did this.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Raving Bob. So can we all agree that Sharon is the power broker again?
Tone jumped that ship.
We jumped that. Tony jumped that ship.
I jumped the ship. I think
jumped the ship.
I don't think it's Sharon Carter. I think it's Valentina. That's who I think the power broker is. Although there is a good case for Sharon Carter to be the power broker. There's 100% a good case for it.
And also to Raven Bob, the thoughts on Isaiah Bradley's heavy story. Do you think it serves a great purpose of Sam's journey into the Shield? We're going to touch up on that right after Tone touches up on his thoughts on the superhero villain team up that we're getting.
I mean, I'm here for it. It'll be cool to see. I think it'll like what Law was saying. It'll be cool to see Batroc just kind of go ham against who he's going for. With Carly, I hope to everyone's point, I hope she gets an arc, like a coming to fruition type of arc. But we also know she's got the super serum. It's making her more of who she is. She's a freedom fighter. So that's kind of what her whole gist is. Someone's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. And the whole thing with these movements, whether you agree with them or not, the movements are only as strong as the amount of people in them. And like, there's only maybe 6 or 5 left of the super soldier serum people, but she's got a hell of a ton of people just ready around the world, ready to move. Just
moments notice, she just went. Look how many people I have.
All those people in Central Park. It just was one of those things. Was like,
yeah.
Like she truly believes she's doing the right thing, but she also has the support of what she believes in. And not just the support of the people who have the same abilities as her, but people she probably does not know, people who found this movement online. And again, very foreshadowing, allegorical to things that we see in our own society today. And again, whether you agree with them or not, but the whole point is like they've got the backing. So they're doing what they need to do what's right, which is to open the borders and having all this collaboration for people. So I'm more interested to see where her mindset goes, because just trying to see what shifts for her, because she's doing murder and then killing Battlestar. Like, she's doing some really dark things that she probably wouldn't have done before the serum. So kind of seeing the thought process of what her movement now is, because you could be losing what the movement is by doing what she's doing at these at the centers and what happened to Battlestar and just losing all focus. So I think I'm hoping she gets like a come to God, for lack of a better expression, moment in this last episode of what the Flag Smashers are really about, what she's trying to do, potentially work with Sam to get that done, which is helping people, but they're helping on 2 opposite spectrums. So that's,
I think too.
Yeah, I think Battle Rock is just kind of muscle, and we're going to see a really dope fight scene between him and Sam with the suit from fucking Wakanda. We cannot sleep on that. So I think that's what we're going to be looking forward to. Yeah, before we go, we got to talk Isaiah Bradley, because there would be a disservice to that man if we don't talk about him.
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
So yeah, I want to touch up on that. Sorry, we're just having one of our guests having small difficulties. It's fine. Again, this is a beautiful part about live. But yeah, no, going back on it and really quickly, yeah, Carly has gone against everything that she stands for, has become like the people she is trying to fight. Yep. And that's what illustrated. And getting into your point, thoughts on Isaiah Bradley's heavy story. We're going to get into that right now. That's the final question we're going to touch on, because again, I think it's important that this is the final question, because we see Sam looking at suit. How much of Isaiah's heavy backstory do you think has influenced Sam to take the suit? And Kimbo, we would start with you with this.
Honestly, when I heard that story, it broke my heart. Just hearing him recount the story about how he heard that there were prisoners in trouble and he went to break them out. I was like, that sounds really familiar. And I started thinking about it. And I'm like, that's exactly what Captain America did. And they gave him like a medal of valor for it and everything. Yep. Mm-hmm. So for the fact that they took Isaiah and instead threw him in jail and then wanted to experiment on him to figure out why the serum worked on him, as if like it shouldn't have, because he's a black man and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then just to try to make it work on somebody else, like it was heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. And I think because Sam heard that story, that really, like, especially when he heard Isaiah said, like, America ain't ready for no black man to be Captain America. When he heard that, that's when he kind of came to the conclusion that's like, if like my own ancestor has given up, who am I to not continue the fight? Like, I have to pick up where he left off. I can't just leave him hanging like that. So I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted to do it. Also, it got to do with whatever's in that box, because I don't know what's in that box from Wakanda, but we really need to figure out what's in that box.
I think we all have an idea what's in the box, but I'm hoping it is what it is. But Pong, take it away with this one.
Yeah, well, what's in the box is definitely going to be the super suit. That was just a heavy scene, and I did not catch the connection between him and Steve Rogers, because that was the whole plot of the first movie, was him going against his commander and going and rescue people, because that's what heroes do, and he not only got in trouble for it, he got his life taken away, and it just terrible. I don't know that I have the right context to be able to unpack how Sam came to grips with it, because it felt a little bit like, well, yeah, this guy says this, but you know what, I'm going to go and do the things anyway. But actually, Kimbo, you just swayed me on that, because that makes sense. Like, he's like, yeah, the last generation, they gave up, so I'm not going to, because that's what heroes do,
Exactly.
yeah. So I think, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm glad that he didn't, of course, but yeah, no, that was some heavy stuff.
Raven Bob says, I hope he keeps Red Wing at least. We touched up on it because we think that someone else is getting Red Wing. And so refreshing to hear that Tone uses those. Okay, Dave, go to bed. So
I mean, me and Dave did go me and Dave did go to Baruch. So, hey.
I mean, if you want a diacritical analysis of Juchian ideals, I didn't think this was that kind of podcast. I mean, I'm here for it. Like, I'm not a tanky, but I get where they're coming from. No, I'm kidding.
That's funny.
Tony, how do you get taken away with the story with Isaiah Bradley influencing Falcon?
I mean, to Kimbo's point, you had a lot of really good points. I also completely missed the whole first Avenger connection. Like, it was just like a blank. Even the shit I watched, I don't remember if someone brought it up or whatever. But it's such a great point that it was okay for Cap to go against the Nazis to save his boys, but Isaiah saving his brothers from his captors, which were also Americans, and that's like, no, you can't do that. It's like literally the story of people. Right, of what African Americans have been trying to fight against. And I also think when Isaiah tells him that America isn't ready for a Black Captain America, it's true. What we saw in the first episode, America was not going to give it to Sam, but it's not. But it's not America's job, or not America. It's not the U.S. government's job to pass the shield. Right, it's not their job. Steve Rogers was that embodiment, and I think Steve Rogers, of all people, picked Sam. And Sam takes that shield and becomes Captain America, the best version of ourselves, the best version of who we want to be as a country, or who we want to be as Americans. And Sam Wilson's the person that's gonna fucking do it, because he was chosen by Cap, and he embodies it, as we saw from the past 4 episodes, as he's growing to become this character. And then the two differences between Isaiah saying no self-righteous Black man is going to be Captain America, but then Bucky, when they have their training montage, says, me and Steve did not understand the repercussions of giving the shield to a Black man. And I think those two are just like, because Steve and Bucky are like, we're just giving you the shield. Like, this should be you're the right guy. You're the dude. Because they don't experience this. They don't know what's going on. They just thought they were making the right choice. Whereas Isaiah was like, this country did me dirty. This country, these people erased me. I lost my entire life. He's literally living like in limbo in Baltimore just to get by, doing his plans, taking care of his grandson. He's like, I don't want to be that representation. So I think Sam ultimately taking the mantle and doing what's right by Isaiah in the past and everything that he went through, but also doing what's right by being the symbol that Steve was, that he's taken up. So I think it's a powerful scene all in all. I think it was great to bring in Isaiah Bradley. I think hopefully more people will read about him and read the comic series that came out, just to kind of understand and also potentially look up what our country did in like real life. Because that whole testing syphilis thing, that is true. That is shit that happened. So, bringing it up. So, and
Emilio goes, bear in mind, Cap did it during the desperate wartime. And then Dave goes, no need to comment on this. I just want to type justice for George Floyd. Yes, and Pong, go right ahead.
So when Tone was talking earlier, it reminded me that there is actual some historical tie-ins with this, because all about our precious monuments. We love our monuments, folks. We've got to keep the monuments. Well, a lot of those monuments were built by a organization basically called the Cult of the Lost Cause. And what the Cult of the Lost Cause was after every war, if you track when those monuments were created, right? They happened in 2 different times. One after World War I, and again after World War II. Sorry, 3 times after World War II, and then during the Civil Rights period. And the whole point of those.
You mean the shitty statues that were made from crap?
Yep.
That are just there as symbols of the Jim Crow? Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, symbols of Jim Crow, and even before Jim Crow, because a lot of them were placed after World War I. And what they were saying was, yeah, you fought in the war and you fought for this country, but just remember this isn't your country. Like, that was the whole point of all those monuments. It wasn't historical at all. It was you stay over there. I'm putting you here, and this is your place. So we're going to put these monuments right in the middle of the town square, and a lot of people don't know that history. They don't know about what was that city in Tulsa that they burned to the ground.
A lot of people were upset that they learned from Watchmen.
Yeah.
Again. But
yeah, there's a long history of this, and it was kind of interesting that Isaiah's character touched on that, without even necessarily talking about that event specifically, but it had a lot of real life parallels.
Law, take it away with this one.
So I think I said it last week, or I said it somewhere, where like this past few weeks have been hitting different, especially for me. And like that conversation with Isaiah, I kind of had the feeling it was going to go that way, and it hit hard. Like, I was just like, oh, damn. Because on the one side, because of what Isaiah's been through, he's not wrong.
Right.
But at the same time, through Sam's eyes, and you've seen what he's gone through, that he's also not wrong in wanting to take up the shield and knowing who Steve was and what Steve represents.
Mm-hmm.
And it was heartbreaking to kind of like not choose sides, but like for them to be stuck. Right. It was so hard and heartbreaking to watch that, because, Isaiah will because of what he's been through, will never see that shield than when he saw it as. And for Sam, the same goes. Like, he'll never see the shield, than what it was. Granted, they both now have new information. It helps inform a lot of their future decisions. But Isaiah's like done. He said it. He's like, I'm never, I just want to live out my life. I don't want to, be known, be heard from again. Like, it is what it is. He's made that peace. And it was such a powerful scene. And then going back or going forward to what Tone said with when Bucky kind of owned up to his privilege, and he was like, yo, like me and Steve never really understood what it meant to give you that shield when we decided to give you the shield. And like someone offhand, like on internet, said there's no way that Cap would have lived throughout the course of history, especially American history, and not given the shield to Sam. There was no way he lived through all that and said, yeah, I'm going to give the shield to Buck. There was no way. He was like, this shield needs to represent people of all kinds, and the people that it was said more beautifully than I can say right now without getting all like emotional about it. But essentially, he was just like, yo, like, I'm going to make sure that Sam is the new face and the new like voice of the people, because he is the people. He is what this country is and what they represent. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was beautiful. And I love that this show is like really hitting home and driving home the fact that like these are conversations to be had. Like, I always, my sister can tell you, I say it all the time. Like, I always say my jungle is not the same as my mom's and my dad's. Like, I grew up in the Bronx, born and raised, but the jungle that I grew up in the 90s is not the one that they grew up in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? But we come from the same exact jungle.
Yeah.
But you can't tell us that, theirs was worse or ours was worse. We just have two different perspectives on the same situations that are going on till this day. Right. So seeing that kind of play out with these guys' conversation meant more to me than a lot of things that have been represented in media. And I'm 100% loving this show as much as I did Watchmen, or as much as I did, Into the Spider-Verse, and what that meant to me.
I want to touch up. Thank you, Raving Bob. It shows America's ugly side. Yes, it does. But Sam witnessing what his decision of giving up the shield to and the government leading to Walker incident was a big factor in him trusting Steve's intuition, even more as far as to passing the mantle to Sam, which is how the opening scene where we see Sam riddled in doubt. Yeah, in the beginning of the show, he was riddled with doubt. Yeah. And now it's like it's clear to him because he has seen this, he has gone through this journey. And I want to thank our guests because we're going to go into his final thoughts right now. My final thoughts on this, because there's a lot of interesting points, everything that everyone touched up on tonight. The thing is that I know that there are people in social circles that are upset because of the political commentary that some of the show has. But if you look at comics as a medium in a whole for years, they have always had and borrowed from real life and have been political commentary in those days. The X-Men, as Stanley said, Professor X was based off of Martin Luther King, where Magneto was based off of Malcolm X. What the show is doing is that what the directors intended it for to do. It's toting a gray line, and it's like you don't know who the hero is, but yet we are seeing again in real life these commentaries, and they're not pulling from today, they're pulling from old media because these stories were already written. Walker's story was written in the 80s. Mm-hmm. The fact that they said at that time too, America wasn't ready for a Black Captain America in the 80s. They played that out because it's the same thing. And with Sam's character, he's not a Black Captain America. He is a Captain America. It's like, I'm going to pick up the shield and be a symbol for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, because the foundations of what we were all built on. And that's the thing. We have to have conversations more about it. Not shouting matches. Not, oh, this is a liberal thing. This is a right wing. This is a this thing. No. This is a thing where, and we're not a political show. We're saying, like, again, it's just conversations to be had because we are now seeing more diversity. We are now seeing what our country is supposed to be, which is a diverse country. We've had many people that have come from overseas over here to starting new life. And this show is touching up the fact that there's still a lot of ugly history that people try to ignore. Watchmen touched up on it. Again, interesting point, brought up Tulsa, Oklahoma. Watchmen brought that up. The fact that Isaiah Bradley is a remnant of the, what's that word? The Vietnam War, which was called a police action by the United States. Mm-hmm. And it's just not saying that the United States is an evil country. It is a country that's still young and still learning for all of us to get together to become progressive and better as a nation altogether. And this is what that show is showing, that we can all come together, be better, listen to each other, not act. If you want to be a John Walker and act, chances are is that things are going to blow up in your face, and those who are with you in the foxhole are not going to be with you, because the government wasn't with John Walker with what he did. It was caught. It's a camera. Mm-hmm. They're Chauvin. Look at that. Look at Ice. And again, it's a great political tool. It's a great commentary. It's entertaining. It borrows from real life, and it's a great, and like again, it is a great human story right now that's playing out. And kudos to the writers for doing this and not shying away, especially on a Disney Plus app. Okay. I want to give it up to all of our guests. Aries Millz, who's on, again, apologize to the fans because she's having connection issues, but she wants to thank for coming on. I want to thank Pong for coming on, the Mighty Pong. I want to thank Kimbo Henry for coming on. Please, guys, check out the description, check out all their links, check out their awesome art, check out their awesome shows. We know that some of this got a little happy, but again, we're just very passionate what's going on with the show. Absolutely.
But also, side note, like, if you are having issues and saying like, oh my God, they're getting too political, blah, 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 blah. It's a show about Captain America.
That's right.
Named after a country. Mm-hmm. It's going to get political. Come on, guys.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait. No, I hope the pandemic ends. We may be doing a live show in Staten Island. I'll let you know. Depends on the, But again, this has been your boy, Sebastian.
It's your boy, Law.
And your boy, Tone, from across the hall.
Everyone have a great night, and thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace out, guys.